Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this session titled All In, Coaching Teachers with a Purpose for Virtual Engagement. My name is JT Taylor, and I will be presenting for you today just a little background about me. I am an educator with over 13 years of experience. I have worked as a special education teacher, a Title I instructional coach, and currently I'm a full-time educational consultant. I serve as the Chief Equity Officer at Purpose Pushers, LLC. I don't want to bore you with my resume, so if you're interested in getting to know me a little bit better, I would suggest that you would visit my website at purposepushers.com. You can learn a little bit more about me. But for today, I just want to talk about being all in. What does it mean to be all in? What does it mean to be a teacher with a purpose? We're all facing some unprecedented times right now, and we've got to understand, how do we meet the unique needs of our students in the midst of everything that we're dealing with today? And I want to suggest that it starts with our mentality. It starts with our mindset. Are you going to be all in for this upcoming school year? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to move the academic needle this upcoming school year? And if you are, then that means you are an educator with a purpose, a leader with a purpose, a teacher with a purpose, but you understand what it takes to reach kids, even in this virtual new normal. So let's talk about this. First and foremost, how are you doing emotionally? How are you feeling? Listen, we're all dealing with COVID-19. We're all dealing with this pandemic. We're all dealing with social isolation to a certain extent. And so we've got to be in tune with our own emotions. I've always stated this: an uninspired teacher cannot be expected to inspire students. Listen, an uninspired leader cannot be expected to inspire staff. We need inspiration. So you got to identify where you are. If you are struggling emotionally, you got to invest in your inspiration. You got to invest in your motivation. Find ways to motivate yourself, because we all know that once the school year starts, you're on the battlefield and there's no going back. And so you got to be able to keep up with the pace. You got to be able to maintain homeostasis. You got to be able to be emotionally well so that you can meet the unique needs of students. So think about that for a second. Now I want to call your attention to this gentleman on the screen. The gentleman holding the back, obviously, not the gentleman doing the talking, but the other one. That's Joe Clark. We're familiar with Joe Clark. We've seen the movie Lean on Me, where Joe Clark was pretty much the first school turnaround principal. Before it was trendy, there was Joe Clark. And now his method was very controversial because he was very hard when it comes to school discipline. He was literally the poster child for exclusionary discipline practices. I was not a fan of those exclusionary practices. Currently, I'm still not a fan of exclusionary practices. I serve as the Chief Equity Officer, so I'm all about giving students access to instruction. But at the end of the day, Joe Clark was effective at managing his building. He was effective at moving the academic needle for some students. And so he was a tremendous leader in his own right. Okay. But what I want to make the case that teachers matter the most. That even if you bring Joe Clark to a school building right now where the staff do not have the instructional capacity to move the academic needle, to where the staff is really bickering and the culture is not healthy, if you bring Joe Clark to a building that needs a lot of help and he doesn't have teachers with a purpose, he doesn't have teachers who are all in, he doesn't have teachers who want to collaborate and work together for the purpose of increasing teaching and learning in that setting, nothing is going to be productive, because teachers matter the most. And so it's not to diminish leadership, but it's just to say that we need teachers who understand their impact. And don't take my word for it. Let's look at the research. Research suggests that teachers are the single most influential school-related factor to student achievement. Teachers matter the most. This is also true in John Hattie's work. For those of you who are familiar with visible learning, according to John Hattie, the collective belief of teachers in their own ability to make a difference matters the most. So even though we got a lot going on in our world, what we have to ask ourselves is this: can we do this work and can we be successful? Even in the midst of a virtual platform, can we do this work virtually and be successful? Can we do this work and increase academic achievement? If you say yes to this, then that means that you have high efficacy. And we need every educator within our building to have high efficacy, that you got to believe in your ability. You got to believe in your impact, and you got to do the work to bring it to fruition. And so not only do we have to believe in our work, but here's the thing: we have to work in a specific type of way. That we need specific type of behavioral patterns, and we need specific type of actions, and we need a specific strategy. We need a specific way of thinking and philosophy. And that's what I call teaching with a purpose. Every child needs a teacher with a purpose. And I define a teacher with a purpose in two ways. Number one, teachers with a purpose know their why. Oh my goodness, yes. Teachers with a purpose, they know their why. They understand why they entered the field of education in the first place. They understand why they attended college and they took over 100 credits. They understand why they stayed up late studying for quizzes and tests. They understand why they reached into their pockets and their purses to pay for state licensure exam. They understand why they entered the field. They understand why they keep going back. Because it's their mission. They're on assignment. That's a teacher with a purpose. But not only do they know their why, but they believe in the life-changing power of education. Teachers with a purpose understand that they have the power to change the trajectory of a child's life. That a child can be transformed simply by entering into your classroom because you are a teacher with a purpose. And listen, we all can attest to teachers with a purpose that we've had throughout our lifetime. We may not have defined them as teachers with a purpose, but we may have defined them as unforgettable. We may have defined them as difference makers. That these are the educators that motivated us. They transmitted love to us. They were game changers. And most importantly, they believed in all kids. These are teachers with a purpose. And we need teachers with a purpose in every building. Every child needs a teacher with a purpose. But not only does every child needs a teacher with a purpose, I want to make the case that every coworker needs a teacher with a purpose. Every colleague, everyone in your professional learning community needs a teacher with a purpose. Everyone in your department needs a teacher with a purpose. Every principal needs teachers with a purpose because principals want to feel that they can trust people. And here's the other thing. We got to talk about school culture. I'm a firm believer that the culture drives the results. The culture drives the achievement. The culture drives the behavior. And so if we have a toxic culture, then nothing will grow because nothing grows in a toxic environment. And so if we want our teachers to grow, we want our staff to grow, we want children to grow, we want leaders to grow, if we want to create an atmosphere where everyone can grow, we're going to need teachers with a purpose who have the mindset that says, hey, I'm all in. Whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it. I tied my tie, I'm feeling like a boss. I can't lie, I'm a teacher with a purpose.